It's puck time for Wednesday, November 6th. I'm your host today, Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com. We have kicked the Prez out for the next four puck time episodes. He'll be back on Tuesday. He's traveling today to Vegas, so he'll be giving the guys in Vegas a hard time instead of you guys here on the YouTube channel. Listen, we've got today Don Buster of WagerTalk Sports, and we've got Andrew McInnis of Sports Memo. So we're going to bring him in. It's a short card today, so we're going to cover a couple of games tonight, and then I want to do a couple look ahead. So I'm going to get these guys to focus on two key games that are coming up in tomorrow's slate. There's a good slate of NHL action. Buster, Andrew, welcome. Buster, I'm going to start with you, man. I just got back from Vegas. Beautiful weather there. I made a good amount of money, and I was pretty happy about it, which made my wife happy because she came with me. So she wants to go back. The one problem is came back to ass-freezing cold weather here north of Toronto. So I want to bring you in to find out how you're doing, and so you can rub it in about the nice warm weather you're experiencing.
Well, Carmine, I wouldn't rub it in. It's, it's a life choice, brother. Like I told you years ago, this is something that we decided to do a long time ago, and anybody can do it, But as far as going to Vegas, I saw that ticket on Twitter. Good for you. That was great. I'm glad that your wife enjoyed Vegas. That's always has to be a plus because my wife, she also goes. We go every March, gone for about 5-6 years now, and we go usually at Thanksgiving. Well, the weather's been so good here, guys, that she's letting me go at Thanksgiving myself to meet my couple buddies that I meet every Thanksgiving. So she's like, I'm not going to Vegas and freeze my ass off because sometimes it can get cold in November, at the end of November in Vegas, right? Yeah. And I'll stay right here with the 90-degree weather and walk down the stairs and into the golf. So but anyways, congrats on winning some money there, Carmine, and also congrats on getting the wife on the positive side of this, because that's huge.
And you're running well right now as well too. I think over your last 15 or so plays, you're hitting at about 67, 68%, and 19 and 11, which is pretty much around the same, their last 30 plays. And this NHL season to start hasn't been the easiest of NHL seasons. So the fact that, some WagerTalk and Sports Memo guys are kicking ass bodes well for the whole season, I think. So I'm going to head over to Andrew now. Listen, I don't have to ask Andrew about the weather. I know what the weather is like out east. It is so cold that the lobsters actually want to get caught so they can get that nice warm bath on your stove. But how you doing, man? You're on a monster run. How are things?
I'm doing pretty good, Carm. It was funny getting the Skype call from Lawrence Presman and then seeing you guys. So it was. It's funny. I knew that was going to be planned. Perez is traveling, so got a new host in the host chair. And, I hope you had a great time in Vegas. It really seemed like it. I always like it when you post those pictures, Carm. I actually just booked my flight to Vegas. I'll be going to Vegas for the very first time December 9th. So very excited about that, courtesy of Wager Talk. And it's going to be a blast. I'm there for 3 days. I'll be filming some hockey videos similar to the one that you filmed and posted a few days ago, Carm. So I'm very excited about that. And really happy to get there before Christmas and get that out of the way and talk some hockey, CFL, NBA. Things are going good right now. I'm running pretty hot in NBA and NHL, and Buster and I both have CFL playoff packages going as well this weekend. So it's a great time to be a sports bettor.
And we will get to that. Is this your first time going to Vegas?
First time ever.
Oh my God, he's a Vegas virgin. This is going to be good. I'm gonna have the company limo pick you up at McCarran Airport. You know what I mean, and take you over to.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, listen, there's a really good place that you should go for if you're a poultry guy. It's called the Chicken Ranch. It's a little outside of Vegas, but if you might want to Google it and look it up. But
Bring your bankroll.
Marco won't take you there, but Tony Finn probably would. So you'll have a great time. I'm going to head back to Vegas. I believe the December 1st weekend. I mentioned it to the wife that WagerTalk is having a meet and greet. I think it's at South
really?
Point. I'm not really sure. And she was all for it. She goes, yeah, she's already looking for flights and hotel packages, and she wants to get back to Vegas. But it is what it is. Okay, so I'm Carmine Bianco. You can find me on Twitter at Carmine Bianco WT. Don Buster, you find him off WagerTalk.com, but on Twitter you can find him at Don_Buster. And of course, Andrew McInnis of Sports Memo, and you can find him on Twitter at McInnis Picks. All right, guys, we are going to go to the first game. It's a short card tonight. Detroit at New York Rangers. Right now, Detroit's plus 135. Rangers are minus 150. The total in this game is 6.5. I don't know what to say about this Detroit team. They won their first 2 games on the road, and now have dropped 6 straight road contests, outscored by 20 goals, 28-8. They're losers of 11 of their last 12. You've got the Rangers. They'd won 3 of their past 4 before being embarrassed at home to the Sens, Ottawa, 6-2. At home, they're only 3-5 this season. At first look this morning, when I looked at the goalies, Lundqvist is confirmed for the Rangers. Detroit hadn't confirmed their goalie yet. It's either going to be Bernier, who's 4-4-2 against the Rangers, or it's going to be Howard, who's 10-3-3 lifetime against the Rangers. I don't know what to think about this line. It seems low, given those stats I gave you about Detroit. And the fact that they've lost 11 of 12, they're only the Rangers only minus 150. It almost seems like the sports books are begging you for money. But Detroit's won 5 straight over the Rangers, you know what I mean? And 14 straight unders in this series as well, too, which is a little shocking to see something trending that way. I'm going to go to Buster first on this.
Okay, thanks, Carmine. I just want to put some props out to you guys. Carmine, unbelievable streak. Keep it going, brother. And you too, Andrew. I see you're like 14-1 in NBA. That's phenomenal. Keep it going, guys. I know it's tough to keep it going, but you need those big streaks. So when the troubled times come, then it doesn't hurt as bad, and then you get back on another streak. So good stuff, guys. Really good stuff. Like really good stuff. Carmine, I don't go on Twitter and all that much, so this is the first. I will be there. I'm at Caesar's Palace for 6 days for Thanksgiving. So if you're there December 1st, I guess I might run into you somewhere. Yeah. I know I'm meeting a couple buddies of mine. We got the Aria Sportsbook for Sunday, but I know.
I won't be. I can tell you where I won't be. I won't be in front of you in line betting the Montreal Canadiens. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't do it. But unless it's money. I don't hate any team in the NHL. Any team that makes us money, I like. I'm a long-suffering Buffalo Sabres fan. And the bottom line is any team that makes you money should be your favorite team. That's the way it is. There is no allegiance when you have money on a game. But Buster, what are your thoughts on this Detroit Rangers game?
Okay, yeah. You said the line's it's 150, 155. It is seems a little low, but again, for me, I just can't trust the New York Ranger team that gets beat by Ottawa, right? And like you said, they're begging you to bet Detroit tonight. Bet the Rangers tonight. The total 6.5. That's you get 2 teams like this, anything could happen in a game like that. So if anything, I know there's a lot of trends to the under. You might want to go under because these clubs allowed 6 goals their last game, and Detroit's been really just playing terrible on defense. So you'd think after a couple of days they try to play more defensively, and Rangers allowing 6 to Ottawa, they're going to wake up a little bit. So that could be a little bit defense. This game won't make my card because Detroit, like I said, they lost 11 out of 12. But if I had to play as the old, I hate using this, but I think anybody that's over 50 of us gamblers have been doing this for 30 years or so, the old you put a gun to my head theory. I'm betting the game under. I'm afraid of Detroit. You can't bet Detroit 11 or 12. The Rangers are probably the play, but I don't lay 160, 170, 155. I just don't do it. Like at long term for me, it doesn't work. I'm more of a finding, plus money stuff. Although the Rangers in regulation, I haven't looked at it. It might be worth a play.
And the thing about the under before we get to Andrew and his thoughts on this is, 14 in a row going under. But the thing is, when you look at Detroit's score lines on the road, they've allowed I think 5 goals in 7 of those 11 losses or what have you. Losing 11 of their last 12, they've allowed 5 goals in those losses. So it's not like they're losing these 2-1, 3-1 type of games. They're getting scored on. It's going to take a while for the whole Stevie Y project to happen in Detroit. They've got to get some other players in. I know that they finally got their top line back together again on that team, but I just don't know. It's really tough. I've got no dog in this fight. If anything, with my own money and not a play on WagerTalk, I've got no card up in the NHL tonight. I'm almost tempted to take Detroit just because of the fact that it's screaming Rangers money. But sometimes, the books are right in the sense of they're pushing you to the other side, and you head there and you still lose. Andrew.
Yeah, ultimately, this is kind of the situation where you got to fade a bad team. You look at it in the NFL, MLB, any sport, NBA, you want to just plain and simple, fade the bad team. I understand this is a decent price here for New York, but it's the same thing that Buster said as well. You got to look at the teams that New York has also lost to, but then they've also beaten a team like Tampa Bay, Nashville. So they've been so up and down, so zigzag, so mysterious all season long. And something that you said, Carmine, that's really stuck with me, and I've acknowledged it a few times, is you want to catch a team on the beginning of a streak, not the end of it. However, I look at this as the same motto for a team that's not doing well. This Detroit team, was cashing a few underdog price. All of a sudden, they find themselves on a big losing streak. They can't get it done. I cashed a ticket with my clients with the Predators on the puck line 2 nights ago against the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit has actually historically owned Nashville. It was 1-0 Detroit, and then ever since then, I believe it was 5-1 final score. Detroit simply does not have that scoring power right now. They don't have that line depth. Secondary scoring is nowhere to be found, and I'm going to continue to fade them here. I'm going to look at fading them. But here's the thing I wanted to mention, guys, and we're going to look at the total here. I understand the history between these two teams says bet under, but I've been riding this new theory so far this year, and it's been working pretty well for me. And it's pretty much when you get two teams that aren't doing too great consistently scoring, when they clash together, you've been seeing goals. You see it with Minnesota a lot. When Minnesota plays crappy teams, they're going over the total when you see a 5.5. This is of course a 6.5, but I have a feeling that if there's a night Detroit finally starts scoring, tonight might be the night. But I just don't think it'll be enough for them to get the job done. So I go with the over as well for my lean.
Yeah, no, and I get it. Listen, going back to these WagerTalk videos, and you'll be in Vegas doing some NHL videos as well. In my trip last week, I did an instructional video. It's called Hockey 101 with Minty Bets of WagerTalk, and it's on the YouTube channel. And I posted, if you head over to my Twitter account, Carmine Bianco WT, I posted it this morning. It literally, it's 5 different questions, things to avoid, things to look for, and what makes hockey profitable. And one of the things that makes hockey profitable is the fact that the amount of games in the NHL allows you to pass on games. Do not force a bet. Like tonight, if you don't like the card, do not bet the card. Plain and simple. Because there's nothing that is worse for your bankroll than betting or forcing a play. But not to go off on a tangent, but what you just talked about certain teams playing with other certain teams, and it leads to an over, or it could lead to an under. I talk in the video about putting a structure together, and sometimes in this sport and in this business, you have to lose money before you make money. But if you want to become good at any sport or handicapping, you have to figure out what your game plan is. So I gave some people ideas of things that I looked for the night before a game, and it's everything from teams playing back-to-back, 3rd and 4 nights, whether their goalie is going to, their starter is going to start tonight or not, and that's what we're going to get into in the next game. Because if a lot of these angles come together, this should be a play for you. It's probably where the percentages are in your favor to win a bet. Speaking of that goalie one, we're going to talk about the St. Louis Blues at Edmonton Oilers tonight. Blues are plus 130 tonight. Oilers are minus 155. Total's 5.5 here. Blues are winners of 5 straight, 7 of their last 8, but they're on the second of a back-to-back. They played in Vancouver last night. They won 2-1 in OT. They lead the Western Conference 23 points, but they're only a point ahead of this same Edmonton Oilers squad. So this is early in the season. This is for top spot in the West. Oilers are 5-5. They're past 10, but losers of 2 straight on home ice. The under is 7-3, last 10 in this series, and in Edmonton. Binnington started last night, so you're probably going to get Jake Allen in net tonight for the Blues. They tend to do that a lot. Allen's 2-1, 3.71 goals against average. One thing that always stands out to me is a goalie with a save percentage under 9. His is 8.55. Not that great.
Brutal.
You got Mike Smith for the Oilers, 5-3-1, 2.12 goals against average, 9.31 save percentage. I'm going to go to you, Andrew, first on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start, Carm, by saying that I don't want to grab the Edmonton Oilers at minus 140, minus 135 range here in this contest. Although St. Louis is on the second half of their back-to-back, it's 2 teams that are very tight in the standings. They're matching up very well right now. So I would like this number to be a little bit closer, and a little bit lower. So I'm going to stay away from the side in this one. However, I do want to look at the over here. We're seeing a 5.5 total. Like you said, St. Louis in the second half of their back-to-back. I think Edmonton's been very up and down with their totals so far this year. Although their head coach and their entire coaching staff has been preaching, they want to play a more defensive style of hockey. And I believe that certainly has been what's helped them be successful so far this year. But you got guys like Jake Allen in net now tonight, and I'm a huge Binnington fan, much rather than Jake Allen. His numbers are not great over long term. His rebound control isn't nearly as good as Jordan Binnington's is. And again, I usually try and make excuses or try and find a way to make an excuse not to take an over 5.5 when I see it. And in this game here, I cannot find anything. I like this spot here. I think Edmonton comes in ready to go here and get the job done. St. Louis, I got to mention, guys, I don't know if you watched the game or the highlights. They ended up winning their game yesterday in overtime on a 3-0 breakaway. First time in NHL history. It was, that's just what happens when it's 3-on-3 overtime. Stuff like that can happen. The 3 Vancouver Canucks players got caught in the offensive zone behind the play, and it was a 3-on-0 the other way. So Jacob Markstrom was not impressed with the Canucks, and the St. Louis Blues can.
I wouldn't have been impressed either as far as that goes.
And it's a league of streaks, so I don't want to get in front of the Blues right now, guys.
All right, Buster.
Yeah, I agree with you, Andrew, on you don't want to get in front of St. Louis, that's for sure. Although it is a back-to-back, and it's even worse a back-to-back. It's kind of funny the way the scheduling's been going here, because usually you go to Edmonton, Calgary, and then you get a day off and go to Vancouver. But I've noticed a lot this year for some reason. These guys are going to Vancouver and then coming to Edmonton and going to Calgary. But when you come to Edmonton on a back-to-back, now you lose an hour. You're already playing late. You lose an hour, and it makes it tough. And now you decide to put Allen in net. And like Carm says, 0.855 save percentage. You got to believe Edmonton has to come out flying off the bat here to try to get on top of St. Louis because they're playing so well. And we got Mike Smith in net, and I know Mike Smith has been playing well, but people have heard me talking. I've only been on here 3 or 4 times, but I'm not a big Mike Smith fan. He might stand on his head again tonight. He stood on his head against Pittsburgh, 51 saves. I get it. He's good. St. Louis will be a club that'll be trying to score some goals. They'll have really maybe tired legs going. So I'm with you on that 5.5 over. Like I said, I can't bet Edmonton at 150. And believe me, if it wasn't a back-to-back, or even if it wasn't this way, if it was back-to-back Edmonton, Calgary, or whatever, you might want to get on St. Louis because the money's right. But I mean, yeah, I can't do that either because of the way the back-to-back sets up with them, and because Allen's a net. Edmonton problem with them, like we talked about maybe last week, Andrew. They're not getting the secondary scoring either. That's the problem. I'm looking for somebody else to put up some points. You figure Draisaitl, McDavid will get their couple points each tonight. Somebody else needs to chip in. I see this something like 4-2, 4-3 final. I can't tell you who's going to get this. You might want to take Edmonton in regulation, but my whole thing is my only play of the night will be Edmonton St. Louis over 5.5.
All right. He's Don Buster of WagerTalk.com. Andrew McInnis of Sports Memo. Guys, we are going to do a couple look-aheads. A quick promo, as you guys can see on the screen for our viewers. I've got an NHL one up for myself. I'm on a good roll, obviously, 19-4-1. I'm up
That's an understatement.
over 50 units right now in the NHL. So we can do 145 off NHL until the All-Star break if you use Carm 350. I know some of you guys took advantage of it yesterday and this morning, so I'm hoping just to keep this run going for you guys. And I have another one up, and we're going to switch it over here. You guys will get, and this is, you'll have to bear with me, boys. Get 7 days of NHL. This is valid today only, okay? I'll have a new promo up tomorrow. Anyone at WagerTalk, Don Buster, Sports Memo, Andrew McInnis, gets 7 days of their plays for only $49. Use code NHL49. This is a great thing in the sense of, listen, the standard packages are $25. So literally for the price of less than 2 packages, you're going to get 7 days of NHL. There's a huge card of games coming up, including tomorrow. So these guys are going to have cards up tomorrow no matter what. So you're ahead of the game by taking that package today, and it's going to go obviously until next Tuesday when the Prez is back, and then we'll see what he's got in store. He's going to have some stories about Vegas and obviously some bad beat stories. There's no way around it. We're going to hear some bad beat stories from him. It's a funny thing.
That's just an automatic, right,
yeah,
Carmine?
Speaking of the Prez, and I'm hoping the guys watching, there may be a little bit of audio problem. This is the first day in Prez's using Prez's studio, so it's a work in progress, but hopefully we'll get this, if there are any crackly issues, we get this sorted out. So my apologies in advance. But I'm in Vegas in the morning. I'm about to take off to go do some shopping with the wife, have some breakfast or whatever. And I go into the sports book at Planet Hollywood, and I grabbed the soccer sheet, and I just wanted to get the updated odds. So I walk up to the guy at the counter, and I'm like, I hand him the sheet. I go, can you give me the updated lines for these 3 games that go off in a couple of hours? And the guy looks at me, goes, hey man, I know you. I'm like, oh shit, right? And he's like, you're Carmine, right? Carmine Bianco. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm Carmine Bianco. He goes, oh man, I love your show. I watch you with the Prez. He goes, but he talks too much. I'm like, no, Prez is a good dude. He goes, yeah, I dealt to the Prez at the World Series of Poker. I was his dealer.
Oh, wow.
So I messaged the Prez later. He goes, yeah, I remember the guy. Super nice guy who's one of the ticket writers at Planet Hollywood. And I know he watches these videos, so I wanted to say a quick little hello to him. Listen, most of the time someone comes up to me and goes, hey, are you Carmine? I say no. Because I'm Italian. Yeah. You never know if there's like some guy's got a hit on you or something for, putting out an 0-2 card 2 weeks ago or whatever. All right, listen.
Hey, brother, with that 19-4 run, you won't have to worry about any hits for a while.
All right. Vegas, speaking of Vegas, perfect segue. Vegas Golden Knights in Toronto tomorrow night at the Scotiabank Arena. My look-ahead line for this, no sportsbook has a line out yet, but I'm using the model that I use. I've got Vegas plus 116 tomorrow. I've got the Toronto Maple Leafs at minus 132. I don't have a total on this as of yet. The starters are likely going to be Fleury and Anderson, I have to believe. in a game of this magnitude. Two very good teams. Fleury's 9-3-1. Anderson's 8-2-2. Both are coming off wins last night. Leafs have won 3 of 4 in this series, this young series between the two. Both games in Toronto. I think I was at both of those games. Their first game where Prez spilt a $17 beer of mine before we even sat down for the opening drop. Vegas 5-2 on the road this season. Toronto's only 5-5 at home. I'm going to start the hashtags on Twitter, Babcock out, because they are not going to win a cup. I'm sorry with Babcock. I understand his history, and I know there's guys are going to comment about look at Babcock throughout the years, but this isn't the Detroit Red Wings of the Russian era and the Yzerman era and the Shanahan area where that team was stacked. They've got a couple very good lines on this team, but there's still defensive issues with this Toronto Maple Leaf squad. I'm going to head to, we'll start with Buster first on this one.
Yeah, Carmine, I think to a man, everybody that does this show has talked about the problem with Babcock and his system and that. And it's just, but it's not only that, Carmine. I said to the Prez a few weeks ago how I wasn't impressed with these guys, and he, of course, went on saying they're 4-2 and they're way better than your shitty Montreal team. That's all good, but this is a team that is supposed to be competing for a Stanley Cup. That's not happening. I do a Buster's top 10 every week where I look at the top 10 teams. Are always not the teams that are the points, and I kicked Toronto out. They went 1-1, but I kicked them out. They just defensively they're shaky. They had a good game against LA last night. They actually held some team to under 30 shots. Probably won't happen when Vegas shows up tomorrow night. And their goaltending. Can Anderson keep playing 66, 67 games? They get to that first round, I guarantee, I won't guarantee, if they get to the first round, they're not going to make it through. Depending if they play Boston or Tampa, I'll be getting as much money as I can on that. It's until they have the talent. No one doubts that. They have the talent. They just, like I say, and they're not getting rid of Babcock. That's a sad thing. He'll probably last the whole season because they'll win enough. They got enough talent that they can win. But when they're playing those top quality teams, look what happened against Philadelphia. They win that game Saturday against Philadelphia. They had no business winning that game against Philadelphia on Saturday. Never mind the 12-round or 14-round or whatever the hell it was, shootout. I mean, they had no domination that game from the second period on. I had no horse in the race at that time because I was actually betting the Breeders' Cup all day. But in saying that, they could be the games that they've won. I'm just going LA. They didn't look good last night. They could have easily a bounce here, a bounce there. They could have been in trouble that game. Philly, they don't deserve to win. San Jose, they got late goals there. The score is 4-1. I guess my point being here is they got lots of talent, but I just don't see it. Something has to change. They definitely need a backup goalie. They definitely need some defense. And you know what they need? They need some toughness. Yeah. That's what they need because teams are going to jump all over them. Montreal did it to them. San Jose did it. They lost, but they did it to them, right? In this game, I go on a little rant there with Toronto because even though I hate them. You said, Carmine, that you don't hate a team. I hate Toronto. I very seldom even make a bet with them. I literally, because every friend of mine from the time I was like 8 years old are Toronto fan, and I'm the only Montreal fan around. I got my buddy out in Halifax, Andrew, there. He's a good old Montreal guy. But, at the end of the day, for me, I hope they don't make the playoffs. I hope. But in saying that, guess who I bet Toronto-Montreal that night? Who my money was on? It was on Toronto because that was the right play, getting plus 130. They got killed, but that was the right play, getting Toronto money, right? And those things will happen. When you're betting 300 hockey games, you got to find the right spot and the right play, for me, mostly at plus money. In this game, Vegas, I watch a ton of hockey. Last night, they almost looked, they win, but they almost looked like they basically were looking ahead, obviously.
Yeah.
Because everybody on that team, they want to play in Toronto. They want, it's a big game for them. For me in this game, I know I'm going on a little bit, Carmine, sorry. For me in this game, I will take Vegas first period if that line, and I'm expecting the public just to put more money on Toronto, I'm expecting maybe getting 120 with Vegas, and I'll probably take them for the game as well.
All right, I'm just making notes here to never put me on a show again with two Montreal fans. Must have been some type of a scheduling glitch. Andrew, Leafs and Golden Knights. We've lost Andrew's audio for some reason.
Oh.
I'm not sure where he went.
Sorry, we're good. We're
Okay.
good. Buster said a lot of what any Montreal fan would have said about Toronto and what any sports bettor would say about Toronto. Carm, I just want to say before I give my pick on the game, the whole Mike Babcock theory that you were saying, and how he's not old-fashioned. That is such a good way to say it because this is the thing. Success. It's almost the same thing when I see people making a prediction or handicapping a game, giving out a pick based off a season series back to 20 years ago. Teams are different, coaches are different, the game is different. If someone tells you this team has won, 20 of the last 30 matchups, it doesn't make a difference every single year. Each team is different, things change, the rosters change, and that's the problem with this Leafs team right now is they're being coached by a team that's used to coach in the Red Wings, so it's different like that. But I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going with the over. I cannot back an under with the Maple Leafs ever. The Vegas Golden Knights traveling to the East Coast. I think right now, any game that Toronto's going to be successful in, they're going to have to score 4 or 5 goals. That's just the way it is. I feel like they're getting scored on, and Vegas has a lot of talent right now. They're going to want to start off their East Coast road trip or have a good East Coast road trip and be able to put up some goals. So as good as they can be defensively sometimes, I'm going to go ahead and make the smart play on the over in this one. Over 6.5 is what I'm guessing it'll be.
All right. One last game, and then we have to close this up because we've been up here for a while now. Pittsburgh, New York Islanders. Pens in my look ahead line right now are plus 109. New York Islanders are minus 127. Right off the bat, I'm going to mention the fact that a couple weeks ago on Pucktime, I'm not trying to pat myself in the back, but I talked about don't wait for a team to win 6 or 7 in a row before you jump on board. This is, again, about building a structure, having a plan, and if you think a team, and usually it's the very good teams, the top echelon of the NHL, that go on these kind of runs, but the Islanders were a team, when I looked at their schedule for the next couple of weeks, I just thought to myself, this is a team with only 2 back-to-backs, a favorable road schedule, and the back-to-backs are in spots where they probably should win as well, even with their backup goalies, that they're going to go on a run. And 10 straight after last night's win. And now they got Pittsburgh on tap. And you know that there's not a team that would love to beat the Islanders more than the Penguins right now. Islanders dumped them in 4 last year, 4 straight in the playoffs. The Pens have lost, 2 straight, 5 of the past 10. But 2/3 of that second line was injured for a few of those games. They get Malkin's back, Galchenyuk's back. I can never pronounce his name, but Galchenyuk. And listen, despite losing that game 6-4 in Boston the other night, they looked pretty good. They came back from a huge deficit, took the lead, and then sort of coughed it up late. But this Pens team look like they look like they're going to start to turn it around. I'm not saying they're going to go on a streak, but they would love nothing better than to beat the Islanders tomorrow night. We'll start with you, Andrew.
Yeah, they definitely would. And hats off backing this Islanders team. They've looked good. And the best thing about this Islanders team so far, to me, I like to look at teams, are they winning in different ways? And the Islanders certainly are doing that. They're winning in close games. They're winning in blowout fashion. They're winning in low scoring. They're winning in high scoring fashion. This is the thing with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I knew that they were going to have some success while they had some injuries. And they started off with some success. They had back-to-back games where they scored 7 goals. And then it went downhill for them. But now they slowly have some guys back. Nick Bukestad's back. Of course, Malkin, Galchenyuk. Everything is kind of falling back into place for this team. But things take time. Things definitely take time to settle back in. We saw it in their game against Boston. They were scoring some goals. There were still some defensive lapses. And that's why I can't really trust them, because the Islanders are the better defensive team. Very cliche term, but defense wins championships. And I would probably look at the under here, but as well have to look at the Islanders in regulation to keep things going. I think, a different team besides Pittsburgh is going to be the one stopping this Islanders team. They're rolling right now, and defense will be the key in that matchup.
Buster.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game with Pittsburgh and the Islanders, and like you guys have touched on, Pittsburgh's getting their players back. If you even go back these last two games, they lose to Edmonton. They just totally dominate, 52 shots. They probably should have won about 7-2. Mike Smith stands on his head, and you lose a game. That's hockey. That happens all the time. And then, like you said, Carmine, they deserved a better fate the other night in Boston. They lose 6-4, but I tell you, they played fantastic in that second period. It was just the way they can play. And I'm actually a little surprised how well they've been playing lately, because I didn't really have them high on my list this year. But Sidney Crosby looks like he's 25 again. They're playing quite well, and like this is a game you probably just want to watch and stay away from, because, like you say, the Islanders are on a 10-game win streak. They seem to have their number. I like the fact for Pittsburgh that they are. They have 3 days. They practiced in New Jersey yesterday. They took a light practice. I think 17 guys played. They're going to get. It looks like Varlamov. They've been the Islanders have been trading back and forth each game on Greiss and Varlamov. So Varlamov will probably play tomorrow night against Murray. I don't know if there's much of a difference there. Varlamov has been pretty good. He's a .929 save percentage. It's probably a game. Like I say, the Islanders, do they have to lose a game? No, they can go 20 in a row, right? It doesn't matter. This is a game, like I said about the Detroit and New York game. Some games you just don't bet. Some games you'll watch, but you just don't bet. And this is one of them.
No, I get it. And the thing about this Islanders team is I just think about that first season of the Vegas Golden Knights, and they literally forecheck, back check. They give you very little, and then they capitalize on your mistakes. It's just what they do. They wait for you to make a mistake, and then they score. And they're very good at protecting the lead. One last quick thing.
Carmine, can I just... Yeah. Sorry. I just want to make one more point in case there's some viewers that are going to maybe bet late at night, like a lot of people do. Like you'll bet 2-3 in the morning once the lines come out sometimes, or if they come out early. Letang is got hurt in the last game, and they don't know if he's going to be playing tomorrow night. So that's something you might want to take into consideration as well, as if you do that stuff with the starting goalies, because that could make a difference tomorrow night. A couple
last quick notes. For you guys who look and you're looking at the schedule and you're like, why don't I see Tampa Bay? The NHL has this thing where each team takes about a week off. It's a long season, obviously 82 games. We're going to see them again, obviously, Tampa Bay. They're going to play back-to-back against the Sabres. That is in Sweden. They're playing in Stockholm, so that's part of the NHL's Global Series. So those are going to be a couple of early games, 2 in the afternoon for those guys on the East Coast. Guys on the West Coast, forget about it. You guys are going to still be sleeping, so never mind. Both these guys, Buster and Andrew, CFL plays this weekend. Buster's got a 5% play. I'm not sure if Andrew's got a 5% play or not. We need to close up this video, but head over to Sports Memo, head over to WagerTalk. These guys have been killing the CFL this season. So even look at, if you're not taking that 7-day NHL package, look at the 3-day all access packages that go off on Friday, and you get their Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is going to include some CFL games as well in there. And then of course, any other sport that these guys put out. Guys, listen, thanks for watching Puck Time again. Buster, thanks for being on. Andrew, thanks for being on. Guys, keep killing it.
Thanks, Carmine. You guys as well.
Thanks, guys.